Why, hello there. It is me, Joshua Harrell, and this is today's Partner Spotlight. Always happy to come to you from Studio A in Roswell, Georgia, in the Sequin Palace here. And today's guest is a true friend of World Via. She has been someone close to me ever since I first joined the travel industry and helped school me on all things third-party insurance, travel insurance, and way beyond that. Okay, so this is someone who is, I talk about my oracles of travel, the people I go to that know everything about travel. This is another oracle of travel. And I am so pleased to welcome Bonnie Raschka from Chubb. Here she is.
Hello, everybody.
Bonnie, I am so happy to have you here in the Sequin Palace.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here.
Yes. You were here, we were just talking about this, you were here on a we hadn't actually matured into our sequins and fabulousness at that time. It was just a black wall.
Exactly.
And we had a fantastic time together.
And
you had all your props with you.
I did. I brought all my travel safety stuff with me.
Yes. And we had a great time, but we are going to have a fantastic time today because it's now been many years since then. Well, not many years, but a few years.
A few.
A few things have happened in between.
A little bit.
Yeah, a few things. We kind of weathered that storm. But it is true, you are one of the first people I've met in the travel industry. And I find you to be a North Star when it comes to all things travel, but specifically around third-party travel insurance.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about insurance, but what I love is you have all this experience as a world traveler, someone who's been in the industry for a long time. And for those of you at home who are watching live, please jump into the chat and you can ask Bonnie questions. You can ask me questions, and I'll ask Bonnie questions. That's how we'll do it. But Bonnie is here, and I am here for this next hour for us to go deep on who Chubb is, how you should work with Chubb, or why you should work with Chubb, I should say. And we're going to just take you on a little bit of a journey, right?
Yep.
You ready for the journey?
I'm ready.
Okay. So first off, you are your official title is, I'm going to look down at my card, Vice President, Head of Leisure Travel, North America.
I am.
Yes. I knew that wasn't going to be news to you.
There you go. So I'll go ahead and just kind of start out. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
That's how we first met.
You started in high school.
I did. I started as a child in the 90s, back 28 years ago. And I have since traveled to 90 countries. And I have experienced travel insurance firsthand. But I've also worked with the travel industry and our travel partners and our customers in regards to the things that happen. My philosophy always is, you got to prepare for the worst, and then nothing will go wrong. But if you don't prepare for the worst, then something might go wrong.
All right. I need to kick that one around a little bit. But just be prepared.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
The key is be prepared.
The key is to be prepared. So, let's we're going to unpack this slowly. Like, we're not in a mad rush. Now, when I first met you and you told me you worked for Chubb, it really threw me off. Coming from not being in the travel industry, and then coming into the travel industry, you are inundated with acronyms.
Yes.
ARC, IATA, which is an acronym, but we actually say it. Anyway, there's just so many, right? So I just assumed that Chubb was an acronym.
But it's not.
It is not. Tell us what it is.
Chubb is, believe it or not, one of the oldest insurance companies in the United States. We are based in the historical district of Philadelphia, and we have connections back to the insurance company in North America. But Chubb is actually the founder's name. Percy Chubb started the business back in the late 1800s, and we've been in business for 225 years.
Take that, any other insurance company. I feel like Shalyn, when we were traveling for our road shows, she was talking about how long the company had been around, and I was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. But yeah.
Yeah, 225 years. That's one of the oldest insurance companies in the United States. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is.
And you had a history in insurance before coming to Chubb. So the great thing about it is, we haven't silenced all our phones.
Mine was vibrating. I apologize. I'll put it down.
No, you're very much like our Jason. Whenever we're doing our Love Travel, Live Travel show, his phone just vibrates the whole time. And I'm like, please just leave it out of the room. No, sorry, I digress there. But you'd worked for several different companies, and you were tasked with coming up with fantastic products for the traveler. And from what I hear from the travel advisors that I get to work with, you have very easy policies to navigate, not only as an advisor, but for the traveler.
Yes.
And that's something you take great pride in.
I do take great pride in that because, believe it or not, when I started my career, I started as a switchboard operator while I was in college. And then I worked my way through the sales and marketing with a company for 20 years. And then I went to join Chubb, and I did a lot of product development and things throughout my entire career. The number one thing I learned is travel insurance has become too complicated, and it's made it harder for customers to understand what they're purchasing. So when we built the plans at Chubb, we decided to build the plans all with the same fine print behind the scenes, that 30 pages behind that nobody reads generally, except for insurance people. And the reason we did that is we wanted to make it easier for the same covered reasons, same exclusions, so that only the customers and the travel advisors need to look at how much are we going to pay you if one of those things go wrong, but they're the same on every single plan. So that wording behind the scenes is exactly the same, and the customer's only making a decision on how much do they want us to pay them back if one of those situations occurs. So we have made it a lot easier to understand the policies because the industry has become a little too complicated.
Yeah. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're second guessing yourself. After you read all those 30 pages, like you said, you're good to go. Now you just need to get down to the basics of it.
Exactly.
Now, we were talking about how long you guys have been in business, which is a long time. But you guys are worldwide. I mean, you're a global company. I'd love to see. We have a beautiful map of your footprint. There it is.
Yes. So
look at that.
Look at that. Yeah, Chubb is a global company. It's the world's largest property casualty insurer. We have over 40,000 employees worldwide. We are in 54 countries with physical operations in those countries.
Oh, wow.
And unbelievable company. And that's the reason when Chubb contacted me to change, I made the change and moved to Philadelphia.
That's fantastic. And Philly's a fabulous city.
It is.
We love it. Producer Evan lived there for a while, so we got him cheering over on the side, over on the side there. So you were talking about be prepared, and
Yes.
So let's go there a little bit. Let's unpack that a bit. So why should travelers invest in Chubb Travel Insurance policy?
Well, the things to keep in mind is years ago, a lot of people only thought about travel insurance because of trip cancellation. You make a deposit, you plan this memorable vacation, everybody wants you to go and have a great time and go on your bucket list trips. However, things happen. It's more important to have the coverage while you're traveling because that's the expense you don't know how much it's going to cost. If you encounter delays, if your bags don't arrive, if you have a minor slip and fall and need medical attention to a major medical emergency. But it's not just about when you're traveling, it's what is happening when you're at home that could force you to come home early for a medical emergency at home.
Interesting.
And a lot of people don't realize that trying to make the changes at the last minute, I need to get home right now, I just got this drastic phone call. There are so many unknowns that once you start traveling that you need to have the travel insurance. Because if you spend $10,000 on a vacation and now you end up canceling that trip, you know that your cancellation conditions are going to potentially cost you $10,000. But when you're actually traveling, it could be a situation that it could be $1,000 for a medical bill for a minor slip and fall when you go to the hospital, or it could be a major medical evacuation that's necessary, or it could just be you have to buy last minute airline tickets to get home right away for a family emergency that occurred while you were traveling. I always say, you got to go see the world. I've seen it. It's a beautiful world out there.
What a beautiful
But
what a wonderful world, sorry.
But when something goes wrong, you want to be able to call that 24/7 assistance and say, help me. And that's a key with travel insurance when you're buying it, to make sure that you can make that phone call and somebody's going to be there to help you.
Right. And at the time that you're purchasing your trip, you're not really thinking about all those things.
No.
Right? You're just quickly, yes, I want to do that trip. Can't wait to go. I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to buy all the outfits. I'm going to make sure I got the suntan lotion. You'll get all sorted out with all those things. Mm-hmm. But something goes a little haywire, and you got problems.
Yes. And as I say, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Where will you be in the world when it happens?
Truth. For someone who is putting together a trip, a big or small trip, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, all different size trips. When is the best time to purchase that insurance?
Clients should be purchasing the travel insurance within 15 to 20 days from when they make their initial trip payment. Because in the travel industry, for travel insurance, you get additional benefits. When you purchase within the time frame specified on the travel insurance policy, is you can receive pre-existing medical condition exclusion waiver. Mm-hmm. A lot of customers don't realize that's not just for you as the traveler. It's for you and all of your family. Mm-hmm. Somebody in your family has a pre-existing condition, most likely, and if you have to cancel or interrupt and come home early because of a pre-existing condition, you only get that benefit if you purchase on the earlier side of make your initial trip deposit, buy the insurance within 15 to 21 days. Also, additional benefits on most policies in the industry include financial default in case the travel supplier ceases operations.
And I'm just going to say, most of us would think, oh, no, that company has been around for many, many years. I do not have to worry about that. But we have since seen in the last few years that unfortunately that has happened.
It does. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's devastating.
Yes, and especially yes. I could go into details on that, and I'm not gonna. Now we had another graphic that I wanted to pull up. Do you have that, Evan?
Which one?
The next graphic that we had. Are you prepared? So let's talk about this. Are your clients prepared?
It's the number one thing you got to think about. One of the common things you've heard me say many times in the years since we've known each other is I say travel insurance gives you choices. When something goes wrong, you have decisions you can make because it allows you choices. So let's go through some of these. If me and my husband were traveling with my best friend and her husband, and we were going to the seven wonders of the world, and now something happened like my husband breaking his leg and can't travel, the choice we had was all of us to cancel because we were traveling together, or just me and my husband canceling, or just my husband canceling and me and my best friend and her husband going to the seven wonders of the world. So it allows some decisions to be made and gives some options of still going to travel. So whenever something does happen, it allows you to think through what is the best decision for how you want to proceed.
Very cool. So, what about the next one?
So the other thing, I have the philosophy when you check in at the airport, you hope everything's going to go like very smoothly, but the airlines can't control the weather, and it doesn't matter where you're flying from and to, it's where your plane is coming from. So weather can impact your travel no matter what. And when I look at the weather in the morning when I first wake up, I'm like, okay, there's going to be delays today. And they're not even going to appear to be in the area you think they would be where the weather is at, because the planes have to come to and through those areas. They happen. And you get delayed. If you have delay of a certain time, then it pays for additional hotels, meals, and accommodations. It's just one expense you didn't expect to have. Yeah. And then being able to call for the assistance to help you get reaccommodated for what your needs are.
Right.
And then,
And that happens a lot. Infrequent travelers, I do travel a lot, so, and there's always that loud talker in the airport that has to talk loud about everything. Like, why are the lines so long in TSA? They just are. There's nothing you can do about it, right? The plane has to come from somewhere, just like you said. You have no control over that. The person at the gate doesn't have any control, so don't stop talking loud, right? I just feel like just be calm at the airport.
And plan enough connection time. This morning I was delayed 45 minutes.
Right.
Because the plane came in last night due to weather, late, and the pilots had to have the required rest. But that's okay.
Right. As long as you prepare for it.
I was prepared.
And if you're trying to make a connection, an international connection through Charles de Gaulle or Amsterdam, I'm sorry, you need more time than you think you do, right? And if you are going to, I had a friend who was going out of Charles de Gaulle, and there was only one flight to San Diego, and he got stuck because something interrupted that flight.
Right.
And that happens a lot. And again, you're not thinking about it. You're thinking about that trip and making the decision to go on that trip.
Right.
But be prepared.
Things happen.
Yeah, things happen, and be prepared. And then it's like, no worries, right?
Right.
No worries.
Exactly.
Let's pull that back up again because we had a couple more.
So, of course, the other two are specific in regards to bags.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of things that people always say, do you carry on your bag or do you check the bag? Believe it or not, when I have a bag that's heavier, I don't want to carry it on. I want to check the bag. If the bag doesn't get there, I know I have baggage coverage for baggage delay that's going to allow me to purchase the essential items I need. I'm not messing around with fighting for overhead bin space. I'm just not dealing with that because you know what happened to me in October?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and share.
Somebody was anxious to get off the plane because we were delayed on our arrival. And they grabbed their bag out of the overhead bin and it fell on my head. And then I needed the medical attention because it jarred my head to my neck, to my middle of my back. And I was in a serious pain. And forgot I could have had a concussion, and I did, so I fell again when I got inside the airport. But things happen, and I'm just not going to mess with the overhead bags. And now I have switched to sitting in the window seat.
Or you're just automatically like bracing for impact now at any point. You're like, no, this is not going to happen.
But I've been traveling for 28 years. Never had that happen before.
Right.
But just somebody very quick grabbing it, didn't grab it correctly, and it fell.
you're the walking poster
I
child
know.
for what you do.
I have to experience what I see.
I really love some Abercrombie and Kent, so I like to experience that. I don't know about you, but like you said, you never know. Life does happen.
It does.
What was that? What was the last one we got there?
This is when something does happen. You know, the number one thing we see happen when people are traveling is minor slip and falls to the medical emergency of heart attacks, strokes, things of that nature. But minor slip and falls is the most common injury that people have when they're traveling, and I can tell you why. If you're in Philadelphia and you've never been there before, those cobblestones, if you're not careful, you're going to slip and fall. When you go to different countries, they don't have the same step requirement that they have in the States. And some of those steps are so small, and people trip over them, and they fall. That's the most common situation where people need medical attention while they're traveling to get a quick x-ray, make sure they didn't break anything, or they have an injury. But it does vary all the way up to some pretty significant major medical that can arise while people are traveling.
Yeah, you're right. The things I like the talking about the cobblestone streets. 100% right. I've lost a few cell phones that way, but I kind of like have it in my hand, and then the street gives way on me.
Yep.
That's how I like to think of it. But and also you're kind of sometimes you're in vacation land.
You are.
Right? You're like,
Yeah, you're like,
whatever, food poisoning, whatever.
yeah, no big deal. Just go with the flow, enjoy the vacation, have a great time, and sometimes little things happen.
Yeah, don't like those little things. Now, at the top of the show, I had asked for you guys who are watching us live to join us in the comments and say hello, ask your questions. I want to pop over there and see what's going on. Okay?
All right.
So, and it looks like we've got some chatties in here. We've got Peggy saying hello from St. Louis. Peggy with Come Along with Peggy Travel. I love the name of your business, Peggy.
Love it.
I love it. Don't put this up. Let me reveal this. It's my show, and I will do what I want to with it. I am in control. I promise. Peggy, I love your question, and I love it because Bonnie and I were just talking about this before we went live. Peggy asked, hello there. When is the upgrade on the travel agent portal going to be implemented?
Oh, believe it or not, we were just talking about this. I'm so excited that we're finishing our final testing. You're going to see a lot of communications coming out regarding our brand new upgraded system, and it will be launching in mid-May. And we are very excited for this brand new portal. It is very user-friendly. It's going to be really quick, simple. Anything in the quoting that I don't really need until purchase has all been moved, it's so much easier to use. So all of our systems have taken a significant upgrade in the past year. So this is a huge announcement, and I'm really excited.
Fantastic. Well, Peggy, it was almost like we planted you, Peggy, because when I saw that, we had just talked about that. Kayla joins us and said, hello, newbie here with Be As You Are Travel. So
welcome to the industry.
Yes, welcome to the industry, and we cannot wait to see Be As You Are Travel become a go-to agency out there in the world. So you obviously know who to partner with when it comes to travel insurance.
Absolutely.
So love it. Thank you, Kayla, for joining us. And Peggy wants to share that she said, oh my gosh, I was a long-distance telephone operator when I was a baby. I love that. Way to go. Now, Beth, not Beth, I don't know where Beth even came from because there's not even a Beth on here. Matthew said...
Beth's not even close to Matthew.
Yeah, I clearly, I don't know, I have issues. But Matthew has something, more of a technical question that we're going to pose to you. I think he's saying, I am confused when making a quote, for example, a family of 4 on a cruise. The cruise is 8,000. Do you put in 8,000 for one person and 0 for everyone else, or 2,000 for everyone?
Okay. So one of the things you got to keep in mind is that whenever you're selling the travel, if the invoice from the travel supplier shows you how much each person pays, that's how you enter it into the system.
Okay.
So however the invoice for so if somebody has to file a claim, how you insure it has to match how the invoice
What the documentation is.
So as we know, cruises, I love cruising. It's one of my favorite things to do because I love being in the middle of the ocean and being able to tell everybody you're not going to be able to reach me for a week. It's the best. I love that experience.
That's, you know what, I feel like let's call Royal Caribbean right now and say that their new marketing campaign should be so you cannot be bothered.
I work all the time, you know it, and I travel all the time, but when I get on a cruise, I literally turn it off and enjoy vacation. So I do normally my vacations are cruising. But when you cruise, the first person in the cabin and the second person in the cabin pay a different rate than the third and fourth person traditionally. And the cruise line invoices is very clear to outline that's how you should insure it.
Okay.
If you're doing a tour and you got 4 people, all the names are listed, and they say the total's 10,000, and you divide it out 2,500 a person.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, Matthew or Beth. Matthew, thank you for that question, because that is the first time I have heard that question and the answer, but that makes total sense. At the end of the day, you're going to have to match up, so there's no issues. Everything has to match up. So, Matthew, I hope that helps dispel some confusion. And Peggy is good to hear on the portal. And she also wants to add that she doesn't like carry-on as well. Too much of a hassle, and I'm not in that big of a hurry. And Peggy, I'd say I'm with you. However, I travel for a 2-day trip. I have like 4 bags. So, carry-on's not my jam either, because it just wouldn't happen. But anyway, thank you guys for chatting. And please keep the questions coming, or just say hi. We've got quite a few of you tuning in live, and don't be bashful. And of course, Producer Evans put up our little reminder to subscribe and make sure you hit that bell so you get some notifications, not only for partner spotlights like this with some fantastic partners like you, but also for some of our other shows. We have some new shows coming out pretty soon. So you want to subscribe and you want to get that bell.
There you go.
So I wanted to ask you from my cards of truth here. So what are some of the myths and misconceptions you hear around travel insurance?
The number one misconception that I hear is I have personal medical insurance. I don't need travel insurance for when I'm traveling. When you're traveling around the world, every country sets their own rules. And unfortunately, your personal medical insurance company will unlikely provide advanced medical payment. But when you're needing treatment in those countries, they will require you to have the bill paid in full, and some will require it before they render services.
Really?
So even if your personal medical insurance does have a statement on there saying you have out-of-country medical, you need to check with that carrier and verify if you're in a country that demands upfront payment, will they advance the funds? All of our travel insurance policies will advance the medical expense funds no matter where you are in the world.
Wow.
And that's the number one that people I already have all this insurance. I have health insurance. I have homeowners insurance. I don't need it for my bags. I don't need it for this.
And I've heard people say, I bought it on my credit card that has insurance.
Yes.
And
but they're traditionally not going to advance the funds.
Right.
And I did test this.
Okay.
Because of story.
Because she's a myth buster out there, ladies and gentlemen.
So in June of 21, my husband and I were in Mexico.
As you do.
He, of course, suffered a slip and fall. And I said, we need to go to the hospital. I want to see if they truly will require the payment before they'll render the service. So we're just not going to talk about insurance. But when we got to the hospital
I'm
in
glad
Mexico,
that you hold on a second. I'm glad that you decided that you were going to test this while you're at hospital with your husband, who is let's just do an experiment to see if this actually works.
So we get to the hospital in Mexico, and they come out and they give us a form, and we fill out the whole form. And they actually ask what our personal insurance was, and they ask what our travel insurance was. And then they take my husband back, and a CNA came in first, did a whole review. The nurse came in second, complete review. Third one was the doctor, review and assessment. The fourth person that walked in the room was the billing coordinator and said, "We know that this is everything we need to do for him. You pay us the $1,000 and we'll do that. Otherwise, you can opt not to have the treatment." And I'm like, yeah, if I stop to call the 24/7 assistance now because I wanted to test the process, my husband's probably pretty upset because he's already in pain.
Right.
So I just went ahead and paid on my credit card and then filed the claim when I got home. But it is true that certain countries, when you travel, if it's not a dire medical emergency, they may not provide services until payment's received. If it's a critical emergency, they will provide the treatment, but they're not going to let you leave the country until the bill is paid. So advancing the
how's
funds
that
is
for
very
a fun
important.
vacation?
And it
Didn't
doesn't-
you enjoy this country because now you're not allowed to leave?
Yeah, until you pay the bill.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
you pay the bill.
So the advanced medical expense payment on our policies is critical. It's a really important one. So let's see. The next one that a lot of people forget about, I'm just trying to think here, is the other one I would say is people say to me all the time, "Oh, no. The travel supplier I booked my trip with is automatically going to, they'll just take care of it. They'll reimburse me. I won't have any issues." Mm-hmm. Every travel supplier out there has published terms and conditions when you book travel with them. Mm-hmm. And they're all phenomenal. But when you have to read those terms and conditions, because that's the terms and conditions, they are not responsible when it's a weather-related act of God situation. That's why travel insurance becomes so important. If there's a earthquake, we just felt an earthquake in Philadelphia, believe it or not, the one in the Northeast not too long ago. If there's an earthquake, if there's an uninhabitable destination because of hurricanes, if there's weather that prevents the airlines to fly, the travel supplier doesn't have any responsibility for that situation, and that's why travel insurance becomes so important. Mm-hmm. So you got to review the terms and conditions from the travel suppliers, make sure you understand what your risk is, and then consider the travel insurance for those other things that they're not responsible for.
I still can't get over not being able to leave the country until your bill's paid. Like that is.
I just saw it on social media like 2 weeks ago with somebody in that situation that didn't have travel insurance. It just pulls at my heartstrings to see people in that situation when they don't need to be. If they would just have, even if you just buy a post-departure only coverage policy, mm-hmm. you don't have to insure your entire trip for cancellation. If you're willing to take the risk on what you paid for the trip, just cover for post-departure only.
Yeah.
Make sure you have coverage when you're out of the country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our Velma, she has been selling travel for many, many years. And as she works with advisors and coaching advisors as they're building their business, it's a no-brainer. She just factors that into the quoting. Mm-hmm. You know, this is what your trip will cost in total, and that. And here's how much the insurance. Here's how much the insurance is, because if you try to add that on later mentally, mm-hmm. It's kind of like when Amazon asks me every time I buy something electronic, it's like, do you want insurance? And I'm like, no, I don't, because it's, even though it's like $2.99 for whatever I'm buying or whatever it is, it's just that's an extra thing. Yeah, it's an afterthought. Exactly. I don't want it. It's not going to break. I'll send it back because it needs to break in the next 30 days.
And that's why everybody looking at their trip, when they're scheduling their budget, they should always set aside for the travel insurance, because if you just know it's part of the trip, you're planning on spending $10,000, keep $700 to $1,000 set aside just for travel insurance, because then you have it. But if you're really thinking, I don't need it, I'm okay losing the $10,000 if I have to cancel, just get the post-departure policy. It's going to range anywhere between $50 and $100 just to get the post-departure coverage.
Interesting. What about any other myths or misconceptions?
Those are the top two.
Those are the top ones?
Those are the top two.
So you were talking about the tour operators, but the cruise lines in particular
Yes.
make it very, very easy for you to add insurance on. And so a lot of people go that route.
Right.
So how is it, I mean, I know you can't speak to, I mean, everybody's a little bit different, but where does that, the product supplier, where does that generally fall off in terms of coverage that third party would cover?
Well, third-party insurance, they always have a very strong pre-existing medical condition exclusion waiver, which is important for all of your family, because it's not just for yourself, it's also for your family. You're also going to find that the limits of coverage, when we built our 3 per trip plans, we built them with specific destinations in mind. Our entry-level plan is designed more for North America travel. Our mid-plan, the Essentials, is geared toward traditional international cruise travel. And the limits of coverage for medical, emergency medical, and things like that are designed for that type of travel. And then our top plan, the Choice, was designed for remote travel, people that want to run with the elephants and sleep in the tents in North Africa. And they do. If you're in a remote area or Antarctica or something like that, you really should gear toward our top plan. But ultimately, when they're building out their plans, they're just looking for what are the minimums that everybody really should have, when we're taking into consideration so much more in regards to what are the covered perils. We're going to have a lot more covered perils on the policy. We may not have as many exclusions on the policy. When you get into that 30 pages of fine print, that's just known in the industry. We're making sure that the plans we developed were designed for the type of travel people are going on and the limits of travel that they need.
Gotcha. So we have a couple of questions. One, Peggy. Peggy is keeping us busy. I like Peggy. Thank you very much for keeping us busy. Peggy asks, when you send a quote and they wait too long, the client waits too long to purchase, and it expires. When you resend it, the price stays the same, right?
Yes.
Right. But what you were saying is that now I'm blanking.
Additional benefits.
The additional benefits. Thank you. The once it goes past that first payment,
Right.
you're missing out on those.
Right. There's key additional benefits: the pre-existing medical condition exclusion waiver, and the financial default coverage you wouldn't be eligible for, but the price of the policy is not going to change. Those are just additional benefits you receive if you purchase closer to when you make your initial trip deposit.
Right. So I hope this is making sense for all of you at home, kind of looking at it. Because I have to say that even though I've been talking about insurance for a while, having this conversation with you, and you are always so available when I have questions, and I am very, very grateful to you for that. But having this conversation with you is making it, I feel like I could speak more comfortably around insurance, because you always say, "Oh, if something were to go wrong," but the things that we've even listed, the baggage, all these elements about where the plane might be, those delays, you're making it. I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to call on my insurance at all.
Really?
I haven't, not yet. I haven't, but that's also because
You're prepared.
I put a lot of buffers in, but I also have that peace of mind because I always have insurance on any trip that I go on.
Right.
But I've seen so many people run into problems and then say, oh, well, why isn't this company, the provider, going to cover this? Why aren't they going to do something? Why aren't they putting me up in a hotel?
Right.
So anyway, enjoy talking to you about this subject, one that you're so fond of.
I am very fond of it. I love the
Do you
travel.
feel the passion?
I love the travel industry, and travel insurance is a very critical component when you're traveling around the world.
Yeah. Look at Matthew said, just want to say thanks for having this session. It has helped me understand the side of the business much better. Thank you, Matthew. We aim to please.
Yeah, go.
Jeff asks a very logistical question here. He says, how do I sell travel insurance even though I'm not an insurance agent? Is there a rule on what you can say and not say when you sell travel insurance?
Okay. Great question, Jeff. So the thing to keep in mind is when you're talking about, as a travel advisor, there's the Limited Lines Travel Insurance Model Act that allows you to offer and disseminate the travel insurance to your clients, where you don't have to be known as an insurance agent. That allows you to talk about general coverage information. My philosophy is if you can read it from our materials, you can say it. If you can't read it from our materials, you tell them to call Chubb. And that way we can ask the questions we need to in order to answer the questions most appropriately. But if somebody's just contacting you and saying, oh, but can you tell me what types of things can they cancel for? Open up our brochure, sickness, injury, death, weather-related, strike-related, it's all listed right in the brochure. But if they say, but I have this situation with my family and I need to know how this is going to be handled, those should be directly answered by Chubb's Customer Service Center. That's why they're available to help your customers answer any of those questions, and we should be answering them directly for your customers or for you. Sometimes we get asked to do three-way calls, but offering and disseminating, because you're in the process of selling them travel, you can quote the insurance, you can enter their information and administer the sale, but it's really you're just offering and disseminating it on Chubb's behalf.
Very good. A great question, Jeff. Thank you for asking. And I did like what you said. If it's not in the brochure, don't ad lib. This is not the area where you ad lib.
No.
It's not welcome, not helpful. But it's I think it's also in your materials are really easy to navigate. I think it's very helpful to if you can share your screen with your client, or that you send them a PDF and you read it with them. That you're not saying go read it on your own. You're saying, oh, if you look at page 3, this is what you're. So it's lending credibility to you as the person who is putting together this fantastic holiday for someone, and you never get in that situation where my travel professional said it was this. Just don't, it'll make your client feel better, you'll feel better, ultimately everybody will be better.
Well, and that's why in our system we built to make sure that travel advisors can quote all 3 plans at the exact same time. Our materials, because we have the same wording for covered reasons, general exclusions, is so much easier for clients to understand. And every brochure includes a full comparison outlining the differences between the 3 because all the wording behind is the same, so it's only having to be listed in there once. So it does really make it easier for a customer to understand it, for the travel advisors to understand it, but if they do have questions in detail about a personal situation going on that they're concerned about, they should be contacting Chubb, and our customer service center will assist.
That's fantastic. And I'm going to take a moment to just say, if you are a member of World Via Travel Quest Network, make sure you go to World Via Pro and Supplier Source and search for Chubb. And if you have not registered to work with Chubb, make sure you hit the Get Registered link, and it will give you the instructions on how you get registered with Chubb. They have been a fantastic partner of many of our members and have helped quite a few people. And I want to say that, again, Peggy, she said, I'm working on a trip of 6 to Ireland, and lo and behold, a gentleman got diagnosed with cancer. I'm so sorry about that, and had to drop out. Chubb was excellent help through that. situation.
You know what? That's what we're here for. And things do happen. You don't know when they're going to happen, and that's why everybody needs to have travel insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, Peggy, that it did turn out and everything worked out well for your client. Sorry to hear of the circumstances. Ireland was a great place. I do hope they get the opportunity to go back, because I was there last September and I actually didn't need my travel insurance on that one.
Thank goodness. Do you know what? If you haven't learned anything from this session, just that we need to send Bonnie positive vibes because she's living her brand right now.
I
am. So you talked about how your team is simplifying insurance for both the travelers and the advisors, and I want to talk about a few ways that you're doing it.
Okay. So the first thing, of course, as I've referenced already, is the same wording on all three of the policies. But we have 3 per trip plans, we have 3 annual plans, and all of those plans on each set have the exact same wording. The per trip plans on all 3 of them, they're all family friendly plans, meaning that anyone traveling as a family, your children under the age of 18 are included at no additional cost.
Nice.
So we're really just trying, and we made sure that all 3 of the per trip plans include those additional benefits. And a lot in the industry has become, on the entry level plan it might not be there, but on the top 2 plans it might be. We're keeping the rules the same to make it much faster to be able to help the travel advisors, the customers, and also our team. Because we've kept it so simple, it allows us to have an outstanding response time on our claims, because it makes it easier for our claims team, makes it easier for our customer service team, and our emergency assistance team, because they also get the benefit of all of the per trip plans and all the annual plans having the same wording.
Right. And I think I want to emphasize that point, that not all third-party insurance have that standard.
Correct.
So, while no matter who you work with, you need to make sure that you need to review it, and you need to make sure you don't ad lib. I think that's the lesson here, no matter if you're working with Chubb or any insurance provider. But thinking about having to know, the nuances of each plan. What you've done is it has really simplified it. But what else have you done?
So some of the other things we've done is we've really focused on our technology, hence why the new agent portal for booking is going to become so much more simplified. But what we focused on first was what the customers needed. And last February, a year ago February, we launched the online claims portal and the mobile app. The mobile app, one of the unique features that when we were building this mobile app that I was really thinking about was this should be, if everybody downloads this app that has a Chubb policy, and you go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and type in Chubb Leisure Travel and have this downloaded. The one thing that I actually did on this mobile app was a client does not have to be logged into the app to hit the emergency help button. Because if somebody's in a traffic accident, they're injured, they're suffering a medical emergency, you don't have time to even just do that simple login.
Yeah.
So the emergency help button is on every screen. So you can just click it if you need help. And the benefit of that mobile app with that emergency help now is it doesn't matter if you're on cell phone calling or if you're on Wi-Fi only calling. It will work anywhere around the world to allow a traveler to get to our 24/7 assistance center.
Wow.
And then, of course, our online claims portal that we launched as well. That's available through the app, but you can just go to the online claims. And that was designed in a way that the average customer can fill out the form, that when you start going through and we ask you the questions. Did you cancel the entire trip? Did you only cancel a portion of the trip? Did you encounter a problem while you were traveling? The average customer does not know the difference between trip interruption, trip delay, and misconnection. Insurance companies know those differences,
Right.
but the average consumer will not. So we developed all the questions to make it easy for the anybody to be able to fill out the form and get everything submitted to us, and then we can process the claims even more quickly and efficiently.
That's
and
awesome.
we are averaging I see reports every month, and I know our average for January to current is running 9 days.
That's amazing.
So we're really focused on taking care of those claims quickly, efficiently, and getting them in the customer's hands as quickly as we can.
And I have to say that that's the sexiest insurance app I've seen.
It's simple.
It's simple and sexy. That's
Simple and easy to use.
Please tell your entire company they did a grand job on that. Very sexy
Very nice job.
mobile app. Outside of the updated agent portal, what else is new? What's coming up?
So we have the brand new outside of the agent portal. So other things that are coming up is we always keep an eye on what's going on in the industry, what's going on in travel. So we will be making some updates. Our goal, this is a strong goal, is to have uniform coverage across the majority of the states.
Really?
So we will be having more uniformity across all, because coverage varies by state.
I was going to ask you to clarify on that.
So coverage, if you live in Florida versus living in Texas versus living in New York, coverage varies from one state to the next. We are working really closely with all the states to get uniform coverage, and the majority of those changes will come into play this summer.
It's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. But I'm excited to try to make it as uniform as possible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have a question from Catherine. She said, I have a family of 18 going to Paris. Does each subfamily need their own policy? And I feel like I know the answer to this.
So what do you think the answer
is? This is generally what I think I know based on our conversation. So don't quote me if I'm wrong. She's going to correct me.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
So I would imagine it's how it was purchased.
Yes. So as we talked about earlier, it is all about how it's purchased. And
I don't know why I hit my chin.
But the thing is, say this family 18, I don't know what type of trip they're going on, but say they're renting a Airbnb or a private villa or something like that, and only one person is paying.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are listed on the contract are the ones that are actually going to pay for the actual trip cancellation coverage. But every single person that's going out of the United States should have travel insurance from a third party in case they have the slip and fall, they need the medical attention, they have baggage problems, and they can just always, if they don't have any other costs, they should buy at least the post-departure coverage.
There you go. So I was paying attention.
There you go. Yep. I knew you had that one.
Well, Catherine, thank you for the question, and what an exciting trip.
Yes.
18 to Paris. I wonder if they're going for the Olympics at all.
I
mean, that's
could be.
Yeah. That's the one thing I wish that we could do these YouTube broadcasts, and it was like a FaceTime situation, but you FaceTime with everyone.
Right.
I feel like there's a way that we could do that at some point.
Oh, I'm sure.
But Catherine, very, very excited about your trip. And, this, to me, this is, I do have that peace of mind. I do have my annual coverage. I make sure that I'm all sorted out. And I put my buffers in for my layovers, right? Now I know I need to, block for luggage in the overhead.
Exactly.
I mean, I did pick that up. So, I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident about my travel.
Good.
That's...
Well, that's one thing, too, that I always have is I travel a lot. About 60 to 70% of the time I'm on the road. I always have my annual coverage year-round. But then when I do the big vacation, once or twice a year, then I buy a per-trip policy because that's a bigger trip cancellation cost that I want to make sure to have insured. But it's up to each person to decide what level of coverage they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do travel a lot and they are a business traveler, they may want to consider having an annual policy to supplement the additional benefits that they might not receive on their business travel accident program.
Right. No, it does make a difference to just have that
Yeah.
confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, So I am very grateful that you came to join us today.
I am too.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this at home. I mean, this is, or at home or in your office. Sorry, I just assume everybody's sitting at home in their lounge watching us. And thank you guys for the questions. I mean, these are very, very helpful to help other people who are watching the show right now who might not have thought to ask that question. So thank you, because that's the thing about a partner spotlight. It's our partners and our members coming together,
Yes.
and we have a fantastic time together. And I knew we were going to have a fantastic time together. I mean, I did miss the props. I mean, if you guys go back and look,
One of these times I'm gonna have to bring the props back.
She's got a whole system for how she travels.
I added new ones.
I know. I heard you
a
did.
new one.
This is an evolving program
It
that
is.
Bonnie has. But I missed the props. But I feel like we got to have a very meaningful conversation that obviously has helped a few of our live audience members, but definitely I think will help our travelers and our advisors alike to be more knowledgeable and feel more confident in working with Chubb or other third-party insurance providers.
Absolutely. You know what? And it was a pleasure, and we're honored to be a preferred provider for World Via. And me being able to come down here to Roswell, Georgia.
Roswell, Georgia.
Georgia. For a couple days. I love it. Beautiful weather down here. But we're here to support you and your clients and your travel advisors with anything that you need. And believe it or not, I always like to say I have an absolute wonderful team at Chubb.
You do.
That allows me to be out traveling and doing things like this. Well, they're all back at the office making sure all of our clients are taken care of.
Yes, you have a phenomenal reputation. I want to give a big shout out to all of the team members over at Chubb who support advisors every day, because it's a very personal connection that you
It is.
have. Even though the company's been around since the 1800s, okay, you would think it would be like, what was that bank in Harry Potter? Like it would be, that established type of field. No, you guys are doing a lot every day to
Yes.
support advisors.
And we are.
Yeah, and travelers.
Yes.
Everybody's supported.
Anybody that's traveling to see the world and doing those memorable vacations.
Keep on traveling. Keep on
Exactly.
traveling. All right. Well, Bonnie, until next time, you're welcome anytime, right?
I do.
But I want to thank you again for coming, and we'll definitely have you back and bring the props in. We can do a whole like they
We'll
do
do
on
another
the talk shows where they bring out the rolling cart with all the things. We're gonna do all the things
All
on
the
the
things.
table. All the
What
things.
do I put in my bag when I travel?
Yes. And you'll learn a lot from it. So thank you again. And those of you who tuned in live or are watching us on demand, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell to get notifications for when future partner spotlights are happening or any of our other shows. Hint, hint. More shows are coming your way. So you want to make sure, man, you are going crazy with that animation there. Sorry, producer Evan is getting crazy with the graphics. Listen, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you at another partner spotlight coming up. So please make sure you check the calendar or stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Obviously, you are going to get updates on any upcoming shows. And if you are a member of our network and you want to learn more about Chubb, want to reach out to someone on Bonnie's team, the place to get that information is in Worldvia Pro. Go to Supplier Source, search for Chubb. A, make sure you get registered with Chubb, and then B, you'll find out all the information on who to contact and really make travel insurance a part of your dialogue with each and every vacation and holiday that you sell. All right. Until next time, I'm Joshua Harrell, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourself so we can take care of each other. Bye.